Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Achieve Your Dream Summit. I'm your host, Coach Rick Stewart, and I'll tell you, I am having so much fun with these incredible people, gifted people, experienced people, people pouring out their hearts for you, so that you can get to know them and their subjects, and your life can be changed through listening to and following through on a lot of these interviews. So without further ado, I've got a great one for you right now. This guy is something else. He goes by Dr. Z. His name is Dr. Zynul Khan, and he's a medical doctor with more than 10 years of experience as a sports physician. Dr. Z has transferred his years of experience and training working with high-performance athletes and teams to managing diabetes and obesity. Using the techniques favored by athletes, he has built courses to help people with diabetes achieve blood sugar control with little to no medication. That's amazing. Showing them how to live fulfilling lives. All right, now we're gonna get to him right now. You all know that the theme here is Achieve Your Dream, and what's near and dear to my heart is strategy for destiny. What were you born to do? So I'm going to hit Dr. Z here with that very question. Dr. Z, what were you born to do?
Well, Rick, I started off my life always wanting to to be of help to anyone. When I was young, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I loved helping animals. But as I grew older and got into the profession and got into university and then into school, I actually transitioned into medicine since I got accepted to medical school. And from that dream, I was able to start helping people to become healthier, right? And that is what I was born to do, to help people to, as you said here, achieve their dreams, right? And one of the ways to achieve your dreams is through good health. I don't believe that anybody can enjoy their lives to their fullest unless you're healthy. So all the money you're making, all the great work you're doing in your communities and with your family, unless you don't have good health, you really can't achieve that. So that's why, and in my bio, you mentioned how I transferred from working with athletes to doing this for everyday people, right? And that's one of the things that I'm aiming for. How to help people to achieve health, especially diabetics and people who are overweight, to achieve their healthiest weight and to take control of their diabetes.
Wow, that is a worthy goal, young man. So okay, so that's what you believe you were born to do. What did you do to get there? You went to medical school. Can you expand on that a little more?
Yes. Well, so my journey began in a medical school, and from there I was able to go to sorry, my daughter is screaming in the background.
That's all right. No problem.
So my journey started in medical school, where when I went in, I really started off wanting to help people. But the problem with medical school is that because it's so much work and there's so much to do, that many of us as doctors, lose that empathy to help people. So we all started with this amazing goal. So leaving medical school, we now learn to relearn that empathy. So over the last 15 years of my career, I worked in the emergency department, working with people who are struggling.
Don't worry about it.
My daughter is coming to join us in a moment. She's coming to join. Come. Say hello to everyone.
Yes.
And we have another interviewer. So in medical school, from there I went into emergency medicine, and she's gone again.
Oh, okay. She's a cutie.
Yes. So from there, after working for 15 years as an emergency physician, during that time, I started working with national teams in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean where I live. And working with those national teams, I started seeing a lot of patterns developing. And working with these athletes, I saw what their nutrition was like. I saw what their exercise routines were like. And I saw what a high performance athlete has to do to maintain his performance, right? And so I was always thinking, and a few years ago, one of my good friends comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm diabetic. I'm totally out of control. My sugar is through the roof every day. My blood pressure is spiking all the time. I feel at the age of 35 that I might be killing myself." Right. And
Wow.
I was like, well, come, let's work together. And this happened about 5 to 7 years ago. And we started working together. And over the period of 6 months, we were able to lower his HbA1c, which is a gauge of how well you're doing as a diabetic, from 11.9 to down to 6.5, which was phenomenal. Right. And from there, his blood pressure became under control. He started managing stress better. And if you don't know, stress causes cortisol increases, which causes spikes in blood sugar. So by doing all those things, we were able to really get him into a good state of mind. And from that, working with him, I went, you know what? I can do better. I can do all of this for my friend. Why don't I start doing it with everyone else, with people who are diabetic? And that's where the whole thought of what I call myself the Dr. Fit Health came about. And I started really researching and taking a deep dive into diabetes and how we manage it. Developing, and during that time I was also studying my postgraduate training in sports medicine. And from that postgraduate training, I realized in the sports medicine world that there is a really good treatment for diabetes that does not include medication. And we in the sports medicine world has seen that using exercise and dietary changes, managing stress and sleep, you can actually take complete control of your diabetes. You can take complete control of your weight journey and getting to your healthiest weight, and actually decrease the amount of medication you're taking and potentially send your diabetes into remission. No medication has yet, to this date, been able to say that they can do that. Right? To the point that one of my colleagues had put a number that she says there's a 30% chance using lifestyle changes that you can convert your diabetes into remission. Whereas if you're using medication, there's a 0.1% chance you may go into remission. And so lifestyle changes is the key and is the secret. That is not much of a secret because everybody knows this. That helps people to get there. But here's the challenge with diabetes. Diabetes itself is not necessarily a difficult disease to treat, but it can be overwhelming. There's lots of information out there, and there's lots of conflicting information. And imagine being a person who hasn't done the 8 years of studying I did, who hasn't done the training with multiple postgraduate degrees and everything that I did, trying to figure out this information. And for me, learning about this stuff was actually confusing to me. Like, for instance, one of the biggest ones we talk about is the edible egg. How much vilification has the egg gone through? It went from not eating the egg yolk to not eating the whole egg to then eating the white. And now they're saying, oh, no, you can eat the whole egg because, yeah, it's not a problem. Look how that has changed. And the same thing occurs when you talk about things like carbohydrates, right? And people understanding what are simple and complex carbohydrates and how do you incorporate that into your daily life, right? So when we talk about, people talk about sugars and they talk about carbohydrates, and then you get confused. What is carbohydrates? The simple carbohydrates are the ones you use every day. It's your sugars, it's your regular table sugar, it's your regular potatoes, your pastas, your flour. Those are all simple carbohydrates. When you get into complex carbohydrates, that's where we're talking about fruits and vegetables. Those carbohydrates are so complex that we can't digest them. Right. And this is what I go through with my, and I don't call them my clients, I don't call them my patients, I call them my students, because mine is a classroom. You learn all the things you need to do on how to get to where you need to get your diabetes under control. And if you're overweight, which if most people don't realize it, that makes you pre-diabetic. And this is something we're starting to see coming up in the literature, where they're now calling it diabesity. Diabetes and obesity go hand in hand. They're two sides of the same coin. right? So if you're overweight and you're obese, your risk of developing diabetes increases by 80% and over. It's a number one risk factor. So what does that make you? Pre-diabetic. You may not be there yet, but you're gonna be there in the next 5 to 10 years. So how do you reverse all of that? And I always tell people, you don't become overweight overnight. You become overweight over months, years.
Mhm.
So why do you expect that you will go back to being in your previous healthy weight just overnight? Right? So you have to give yourself time to adjust to this new type of lifestyle. And in order to do that, it all comes down to your consistency. So you start with me, and that's what I show people. Take your time. We can do this together. I will give you the support. I will give you the encouragement. I will give you the accountability. So that's my journey to getting to where I've developed Dr. Fit and getting people and reaching out to diabetics and people who are overweight and obese to help them to really start taking control of their lives.
Wow, what a worthy quest. My goodness, I've taken some notes here. Diabesity. What a word. I'm going to borrow that from you, and I probably will forget to give you credit.
That's all right. It's not my word. It's the word in medicine now. Is the new word they've put in, where
Yeah,
they've linked it to. I know we've got a term for it, which is kind of, for me, is very sad that we can create a term for something that should never have happened.
right, right, right. Well, I need to follow your guidelines and possibly become a student. I'm not overweight. I'm 6'4" and I'm about 200 pounds. So I'm not, I'm not big and fat, but at my age, I have to be more careful. And so,
Yes.
so does my wife of 44 years. All righty. Well, my next question that I'd love to ask, and I think you pretty much answered this, but how does your business fit into your dream? How does Dr. fit into your dream?
My business fits into my dream because I now get to help people and help people in a way that I know is very effective. And this is where I've taken the love of what I do and I've turned it into my business. And I've created courses like Healthy Weight Recipe. I'm working on creating more courses that fits into me being able to help people. So, like for instance, next year, my plan is to create 10 new courses
Wow.
working on injuries. Those things like shoulder injuries and the tennis elbow. And like if you have back pain and neck pain, how do you manage those things? I want to create courses on all of those, showing people how over a period of 4 to 6 weeks, you can actually start to fix your injuries. So not only because one of the things about stress is injuries are stress related. Like back pain, 50% of the cause of back pain is actually mental, right? And if you can fix the mental, you can usually get rid of your back pain. So many times when I have patients come into my clinic and they're saying I have back pain, a lot of conversation is not actually focused on the back pain, but what's going on in your life? What are you so stressed out about? And then we start working on those stresses. As soon as we remove those, the pain dissipates. It becomes far less. So how does my business fit into my dream? I am using my passion and the thing I love to do to really help people. And in that, I'm able to not only, well, I get to make money off of it, yes, but my biggest goal is I get to help people. And by doing this now, it's not going to work for me anymore. It is doing my hobby. So I get to do this every day.
That is amazing, and your sincerity comes through this interview. It's so good. I'm excited. I'm even excited, and sometimes at my age I get a little down, like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. But I don't need to feel that way. And by the way, sometime we need to have a discussion about a lot of aches and pains being there because of unforgiveness, because of anger toward other people. I have for over 35 years counseled with people who they would come into my office and they would be in awful pain. My first question was, who are you mad at? And try to get them to and had great success in getting people to forgive and forgive themselves and forgive other people. And lo and behold, just what you said, the pain goes away. Okay. Well, anyway, this is your interview. Sorry for you up there. I just wanted to throw that in there. All righty. Your title for this summit. We've got lots of time for you to talk about this. What is your title for this summit?
It's called the diabetes pandemic. Why did I choose that title? Right now, so this last 2 years, we've heard the word pandemic all over the place. Is talking about this disease that's floating around and how it's spreading. And now we have an understanding of what the word pandemic is. And in medicine, we knew what pandemic was, but I think the world didn't know quite what the impact of a pandemic is. So here's a statistic for you. There are 440 million diabetics in the world, right? With our part of the world having some of the highest rates in the world of diabetics in our own countries, right? And when to add another statistic to that, more than half the world's population are overweight or obese, right? So we're going down a really terrible road. And what that means is that we've created a pandemic in the world that is not infective. So you can't walk next to a diabetic and become diabetic, but because you're overweight, you're putting yourself at risk for it. So in my ruling is it is a pandemic and is one that's spreading and is continuing to spread to the point that we know if this keeps up, that we will break the bank when it comes to this managing diabetes alone. And we haven't even looked at the other common ailments that come around from being overweight and obese, which is hypertension, is high cholesterol, hypercholesterolemia. We have heart disease, all of these things. You have strokes, you have pulmonary embolus, which is where you get a clot in the lungs. All those things are risks. And we're not even talking about the joints and the bone problems you have from carrying around all that weight, right? So it is a real problem in the world that is constantly growing, and it's going to be an even bigger problem than we've seen in the last 2 years. Now, this pandemic has been growing for the last 10 years, and it will continue to expand if we don't do something about it now. So much like the environment, we now have to look at our own internal environments and really start to say, what are we going to do to change our lives? What do we need to do to step up and say, hey, I want to make that change? And this is where my course comes in, which is called Healthy Weight Recipe, right? Where I go through an entire change. Like when you said that you come in, when your clients came into your office, you ask them, what are you mad at? The same thing happens here, but just seeing what you're mad at, I'm sure it was just one session that a person came to that conclusion.
No.
It takes more. Exactly.
Yes.
So you can't change overnight. And a problem I find with a lot of the workout programs and all the diet fads that they have out there is that they promise dreams to people, but they don't actually, but a person has to stick with it. And many people struggle with just keeping up with things. So what if you change it one step at a time? Instead of rushing into everything, you start with one thing every week, and then you work your way through it, right? That's what my course does. It really takes you in 6 weeks through one step at a time. And in my course, I only take away one thing, and that's carbohydrates, right? Simple sugars, not even all carbohydrates. I just take away simple sugars. And I show you how you can continue to enjoy all those great things you like to eat. So if you like having a donut, you're allowed to have a donut, right? But don't have a donut every day, right? If you like having some pizza, you don't have to have pizza every day. So like in my family, pizza is a treat for us. We have pizza probably twice a month. And my daughters love it. They look forward to it so much that they will go through and eat out almost the entire pie. And they're 5 and 2 years old, right? But because it's such a novelty, it becomes an amazing experience for them. And that's what you do. You transform all those things you love into great experiences. Like I put it to this, when you go to Disney World, you don't go to Disney World every week. You go once every few years, once maybe every 2 to 5 years. Sometimes not even every 10 years, you probably go to Disney World. What is so amazing about Disney World is that you get to see it and it becomes a treat to just show up at Disney World and see it every 10 years and see what changes have occurred.
Yes.
Same thing. And that's how we need to treat our lives, the same way, that not rushing into it. Take your time. We will get there.
Woo! That's a lot to digest, pun intended. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now do this for me and for a lot of our audience. This is new. I didn't prep you on this one, but I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, music capital of the world, Music City, USA, and we are considered part of the South, very much north, but part of the South. The eating habits here, probably all capital letters, atrocious. And we see so many obese children, and nobody comments. You know, they don't comment. That's sort of a hush hush, don't say anything. But somebody is walking around the mall or coming to church or going to your place of business, and they've got 3 kids of different ages who are twice the size they should be. And all we can do is say, oh, aren't they cute? That's all we can do. We can't say your kid could be a diabetic or already is because of your eating habits. You can't say those things. Those are socially unacceptable. What would you say to me about the eating habits of people in the South, and what could be changed without condemning the entire southern part of the United States?
Well, so the history of me, I went to school in Florida. I did my first degree in Florida, and I have been to Tennessee a couple of times, actually. And my sister actually lives in Indiana, and she used to live in Kentucky. So I have been in the South, and I have seen the issues that arise there. One of the things I would say is simply this. For parents, you don't have to, in adults, there's no sign to show that there's diabetes, right? So I'll start off with this. In adults, there's no sign. There isn't a sign that goes in your head to say, I'm diabetic. Mm-hmm. You don't know until you go to your doctor and he says, oh my gosh, your sugar's through the roof, right? But there in kids, there is a sign. And it's a dark mark that occurs around their neck. It's called acanthosis nigricans, right? And sorry, I said that kind of fast. Acanthosis nigricans.
Okay.
Right. Now it's a darkening around the back of the neck, or around the neck as a whole. Now that, if you see your kids has that, go to your doctor. Right? Nobody has to tell you anything. Just go. If you're parents and you have an overweight child, go to your doctor if you're seeing that. What that is indicating is your child is pre-diabetic. Right? And in sometime in the next few years will develop diabetes. Now, I can't imagine what it would be like to be an 18-year-old and you're getting your first diagnosis of diabetes. I had a young man in my department several years ago who was 25 years old and had a heart attack. And the only reason he had a heart attack was because he was massively overweight. Right? And he comes in, and now at 25, he has triple vessel disease. Right? That's what happens. That's what they did, what they found out after he did his angiogram. Right? So he's 25 years old and he's just cut his life short by almost 20 years. Why? Just because of being overweight. But in your kids, if you see their kid is overweight, go to your doctor. There is methods. And here's the problem here's the issue with children being overweight. It's a more difficult disease to treat because the children are not going to do what you want them to do. They often don't cooperate as well. Right? So my thing is, to all parents out there are ways. There's there's lots of research coming out of how to manage obesity in children. And one of the best ways to do it is to engage with the child, right? Talk to them. Go for a walk with them. There is something called the Daily Mile it was started in Scotland in the UK. It was started by a bunch of teachers, actually. They got fed up of seeing their kids in school being overweight and not exercising. So what did they do? They said, let's go for a walk. And they took them into the yard, and for once every day, they would walk around the school field. Don't have to change clothes, didn't have to get any fancy shoes. They just let the kids go crazy, right? They walk, they run, they race each other, they gossip, they talk, whatever they wanted to do, they skipped. And the teachers went out and joined them. And interestingly, what they found, and this is a huge thing now. It's now, I think, it's 3.9 million children are doing it, and it's in 84 countries. right? This is how big it has gotten. It's actually a big website, right? And they found that the concentration of the children went up. So they were able to study better. They found that the kids themselves started eating healthier because they were getting fitter. They found that the kids themselves started to, they noticed that they wanted to walk more. They wanted to exercise more. The kids themselves started going to their parents and saying, Mom, Dad, let's not buy so much of this and let's get something else. Why? And by doing that, just that engagement, the children got involved and started taking care of their own health, right? And it was a fascinating turnaround. And this started happening in Scotland. Now it's spread, as I said, to 84 countries and 3.9 million children are doing it. So it's not that hard to do. Parents, talk to your kids. Say, let's go for a walk. Let's do it as a family. Family time is one of the most important time in your life. And here's something. 80% of the time you spend with your kids is going to be in the first 18 years of their lives. After they leave home and they start working, you're not going to see them as often. Why? Because they have their own lives. So in that 80%, wouldn't it be awesome to just go out every evening for a walk with your kids and spend that half an hour, 45 minutes, just chatting? Suddenly, the relationships blossoms, it blooms, and it makes an amazing turnaround in your own home. So it's very simple. I don't even have to condemn anybody or say, oh no, the South is, no, it's a simple thing. If your kids are overweight, then more likely you are too. And maybe that change should come from all of you.
You know, I told my business coach, Cindy J, that I didn't want to just ask questions in these interviews, summit interviews. I wanted to ask the right questions. Well, I think I just did. I'm going to pat myself on the back there because that hit a nerve. Yeah, that was an incredible explanation. And I'll just bet you that there are going to be hundreds of people who are going to hear you say that, and they're going to get going. They're going to get up and start walking. I have noticed throughout my life that the really obese one or two people in the room, no matter where you are, other people are getting up and doing things for them because it's difficult for them to get up and walk around. And they're actually the ones who desperately need to get up and walk around.
And I always say it takes 5 minutes a day. One of the things I recommend is after every meal, go for a walk. So you don't have to do it for more than 10 minutes. You go for a walk for 10 minutes and voila. And then by the end of the day, if you eat 3 meals a day, you've just walked 30 minutes. All of a sudden you're doing 30 minutes of exercise, right? As simple as that. And then from that 30 minutes exercise, like one of my students, he actually came into my program once and said, hey, Doc, do you mind if I work out even more? And I go, yeah, go ahead. He said, because I'll be sitting on the couch and I just feel like I need to do some push-ups or I need to do some jumping jacks. He's like, that's the thing. Once you start moving, your body wants more of it. And you actually start feeling more concentrated. You actually start feeling more energetic. Your sex life improves. It's amazing the impact just exercising alone has on you.
Wow. Well, you are a fountain of information. Just amazing. Let me see now. You're hitting on all cylinders here. Oh! I know that you have a wonderful gift. You have a freebie for our viewers. And a little bird told me that perhaps you have a premium gift also. Can you tell us about your freebie?
Okay, the freebie, it's my ebook. It's called The Walk to Freedom, Achieving Diabetes Control in 4 weeks, right? It goes through what diabetes is, and it goes through a little bit about what things you can do, and then it goes through the 4 weeks of steps you can take to really get to the next stage of getting your diabetes under control. And the book is written out of my course. So it's basically my course you're getting in my book, right? And I'm giving this away because I really want you to get started. But if you're struggling with it, you can reach out to me. My email is in the book, and you can reach out to me and I can help you along. And to upgrade it to the next level, as you said, I do have my course, and for everyone who wants it, I'm offering it at 50% discount. The course is well, you'll have the link to the course as you go in there, and you will get the code that allows you to get that 50% discount. And the course is called Healthy Weight Recipe. Getting to your healthiest weight without having to give up your favorite foods.
Healthy weight recipe. You got to get that down. All right. Wow. So all of you out there, if you want to get healthier or help somebody get healthier, this is a great time to upgrade to VIP status. You always want to do that, and have access to Dr. Z and also to his ebook and to 50% off on the course. That sounds amazing. I've got some friends who, as you say, are going to become your students. I know they will, and it's going to be good. So, all
Awesome.
right, let me. Here's the closing question. This is near and dear to my heart with Achieve Your Dream, and that is, Dr. Z, when it comes to living your best life, what advice do you have for our viewers, for our audience? Your best life.
The power of one. I say do one thing every day. One new thing or one thing to make your life healthier, right? And that one thing could be as simple as going for a walk. One additional thing. So every day, add one more thing, and you'll see over time. So even if it starts, that one thing could be one push-up, one deep breath,
Yes.
one word of gratefulness, one of anything, and you will see the change. And if I tell you, in 365 days in the year, that one thing becomes 365 one things. So if you do one thing every day, you'll get there.
If I do 365 of those, I may only have time for one push-up. Well, I'll tell you this. Yeah, I can do a lot more than one push-up, even at my tender age here. But wow. Anything else you wish to share? This has been just so enlightening. It really has. So, and you obviously know what you're talking about, and you're very willing to help people. Oh, I have a very important question. I see your Star Wars shirt. Okay, we are definitely Star Wars Mandalorian fans. And do you think that Baby Yoda needs to go on a diet?
I think Baby Yoda doesn't have any problems whatsoever because he's still a baby.
He's still a baby.
He has a long way to go. Plus, he has the power of the Force. If he needs to lose weight, he can lose it.
You can't tell with whatever that big sweater that he has on. You can't tell if he has any shape at all. Yeah, but he can move things around. So he can probably move his weight around too.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I have asked you this before, and I'll ask you one more time, and then we'll let you go. But any parting words? Any parting words of wisdom? That doing one thing each day is phenomenal. We can stop there if you want to.
No, I would actually say one parting word of wisdom is don't beat yourself up. If you're overweight, don't beat yourself up. If you're struggling with your diabetes, don't beat yourself up. Instead of doing that, reach out. There's lots of information out there. There's lots of people willing to help. I'm not the only one. Or come find me and I will sit down and have a conversation with you. I have no problems with it. But don't feel like you're alone in this, and don't beat yourself up for where you are. We want to help you. We all do. In the medical profession, we're always willing to help.
All right. Your course, Healthy Weight Recipe. What is the going price on that? And then the 50% off. So what is the current price on that course?
Right now, it's being offered for $295.
Okay.
Right. And and the 50% off is obviously $150, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the math, but all right, I don't math. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, for all of you out there, be sure. I tell you every time, be sure to upgrade to VIP. It doesn't cost you much of anything to do that. And it's so vital to be able to not just listen to Dr. Z, but to listen to all the other speakers and be able to have access to them at any time and anywhere on any device. So do yourself a favor, upgrade, and get in touch with this man. Get in touch with this man, Dr. Fit Health. That's a great moniker there. I really appreciate it. And so until the next interview, here's signing off on the Achieve Your Dream Summit interview with Dr. Z.
And thank you for having me, Rick. Coach Rick.